Morning, King.
Good morning. It's
It's a beautiful. It's actually not beautiful at all here. It's gross.
no, it was raining all night. It's not nice over here either. Perfect ambiance.
I don't like it. For the topic.
For the topic, yeah.
Are we just jumping right in?
I don't know. It's a wake and bake. It's an Evil Dead Rise. Let's do this
Ooh,
shit.
let's rise. I'm just excited. After I do this recording, I'm getting ready to perform. I got booked on a comedy festival.
Nice.
And
wait, is tonight the tattoo show?
That's tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Tonight I'm doing a different show.
So they're obviously gonna like video the tattooing, right? Like we'll get like
I don't know.
Oh, really? Oh, someone has to. That's gonna
I'm
be hilarious.
I'm definitely gonna get my phone out and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's gonna be so funny.
Dude, I'm so excited.
And did you decide on what you're gonna get, or is it a surprise?
Do you know? Did I give you my two options? I should have asked you guys.
You definitely did on TikTok. I don't know if you mentioned it in an episode, but do it anyway for the people that don't know.
Okay, so the two choices that I'm thinking, I'm debating on either just getting, because it has to be simple, because it's only a 20-minute set.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be like an elaborate tattoo. So I was thinking about either getting a Miller Lite can right on my ankle, because that would hurt and be funny. Or I was thinking about getting the phrase, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers.
Why that phrase? Like, why do you pick that one?
It's silly. It's like one of those things. It would be almost like getting live, laugh, love. Like it's definitely like ironic. I think it would be funny. Like, let's say one day I die in an accident and they find my body. They'd be like, oh, this man of God. You know what I mean? This poor Christian man. What happened to him?
Ooh, that might have given me more. Like, I've been voting for the can on social media. Every time you post, I say, put the Miller Lite can. Because I mean, it feels like that's going to be more painful than even those words because of where you're going to put it, right?
Yeah.
But I like, I still go with the can, but I like both. I think both are funny.
Yeah, I'm going to just see what, I also don't know. It might be the kind of thing where they have like a bunch of pre-made flash drawn up but that they're like, I know I can do this in 20 minutes. So you can choose one of these. You know what I mean? So I'm going to get there and I might not even have the choice between those two. We're going to find out when I get there, bubby.
Hey, your body, your choice, Cody.
Yeah, that's how we feel here on Comics and Chronic.
Exactly.
Unless it's in regards to women. No, I'm just kidding.
Women being possessed by evil spirits of the dead. We don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that you don't get a choice in that, ladies. If you're reading the Book of the Damned, I'm not for it.
If you've got the Necronomicon on vinyl, watch out.
Dude, this movie was so good.
It was great. Evil Dead is a great franchise. I think it's one of both of our favorite franchises in horror.
Of horror, yeah. Before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off if that's okay.
Do it.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to a nice little half-baked episode. I'm Cody Cannon. I'm joined with Anthony Iannaccio because the little fucker Jake FH refuses to watch Evil Dead because he's a pussy.
Yeah, boo.
But it's okay. I'm excited to have a little half-baked with my boy.
Yeah, it's fun. If Jake is scared of Evil Dead, that's okay. That's on him, you know? Maybe he'll be brave enough one day, but...
Today's not the day.
It's not the day.
But yeah, so Evil Dead Rise just came out. Fantastic movie. No big stars in it.
Nope.
And honestly, so well acted.
Yeah. And also, I feel like it should be that way. I mean, the Evil Dead franchise, you don't know who Bruce Campbell is when you watch the first Evil Dead. You don't know anybody in that movie. And it works because, like, in horror movies, if you have too big of a star, sometimes you're like, oh, well, they're going to obviously survive for a long time. When you don't know who's who, like it doesn't matter. Everyone's up for grabs. And it's kind of like that in this movie. There's a lot more people dying than I expected.
Same. Everyone gets it.
Yeah.
So let's start out with the cold open, because honestly, one of the best cold opens in a horror, not only in a horror movie, but just in a movie in a long time.
Yeah.
Starts out, this girl's reading by the lake. This fratty, douchey boy comes down, starts aggravating her. You can tell from their conversation that he's like, she doesn't want to be there, and it's her best friend's boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes up to but while they're talking, they're like, oh, something's wrong with her. You know, maybe she's sick or something.
Yeah.
So she walks up to like see, and the girl, you can tell what's about to go down as soon as you see the body. As soon as you see the girl. Yeah, and she's just reading her book near her, and then all of a sudden, the sick girl is on her knees with her back turned, reading the words out loud of the book.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, such a good scene.
Sent a chill. Yeah, that's like the Evil Dead feel. Like it's not just that like you're getting possessed. Like the Deadites just have like this mystical ass power. Like they're doing other shit. Like it's almost just to fuck with you. Like that's why it's so scary.
Yeah, for sure. They do. There's definitely like a cruel fun to these movies, not like just the whole franchise, all of the Deadites, but I would even say like cruel being an emphasis in the two more recent ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, and not that it wasn't trying to be this, so it shouldn't really affect like what I think of the movie. But Evil Dead as a franchise, I do like the silly campiness aspect to it. So taking that out of it, like I get it, you're doing something different, but we already got that version.
Do you think there wasn't any silly? Because I think
there was a little bit. There was a little bit. Yeah.
I think this is like in between the 2013 remake and the classics, leaning more towards the 2013 remake. But there was definitely like some dialogue, some lines from the Deadites. That
the way the mom was just through the peephole, that was very, very much. It felt like Evil Dead 1 and 2 for sure.
For sure. That peephole scene was incredible.
But before like we move past the first, I just liked that beginning because it was also just like a 5-minute like Evil Dead. Like that was almost like a whole plot of Evil Dead really quick in a really cool way. Like it worked.
Like almost like a short.
Yeah, exactly.
And dude, the way when the possessed girl rises out of the lake and then the title of the movie rises up above the mountains, it was that shot stunning. Incredible. So good.
Right. And then you're like, okay, once the movie gets going, you're like, how does that part tie in to the whole thing? Like, you don't really know, but they tell you when like it's that, and then it says 1 day earlier. So all the events of the movie are happening before the first thing you see in the movie. Completely different characters, not the same at all.
Yeah. You're like, oh, fuck. Which makes you think, gives you this impending sense of doom because you're like, does this mean... You wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the movie, everyone dies.
Everyone dies. Yeah, and spoiler warning, that it comes pretty close to that.
Yeah, really close. I honestly got to give it to this movie. Bunch of kids dying.
Yeah. Oh, I was, dude, literally watching this. I'm like, holy shit, it's Evil Dead. It's kids dying. It's families being torn apart. This is fucking Cody's darkest fucking fantasy.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. I loved this movie. It
was made for you.
It was made for me, man. Dude, and what I like too is everyone's like, oh, it's not going to be as good as the Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi movies. And I would probably argue that you're correct, but it's not like a significant drop in quality. And Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, both executive producers, and you could just tell that like this is something that they're proud of. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I would not be surprised, and I don't know if this is the case, if this movie was like the person that made it, Lee Cronin, I think is their name, Lee Cronin. I don't know what else they've done, but written and directed by Lee Cronin. I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote this movie as not Evil Dead at all, because I could see the plot being like if this didn't have Evil Dead attached to it, I would still argue that it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Because the Necronomicon, of course, it's important to Evil Dead, but like it could have just been like a cursed vinyl that this kid finds, and when he plays it, his mom gets possessed. Like, I could still see that being the plot of, like, you don't necessarily need the Evil Dead elements, but having the Evil Dead banner does make it, like, it makes it better, and there's tons of, like, small, not even Easter eggs. Like, the end of the movie, you get the shotgun and the chainsaw. It's almost like the ant is Ash, like Aunt Ash,
Yeah. So that was really cool. Not only that, but, okay, so the director, what was the name again? Lee Cronin?
Lee Cronin.
The only other movie I've seen by Lee Cronin was this A24 horror that came out right around the time Hereditary, The Lighthouse, and The Witch were coming out, called The Hole in the Ground. And it's not like fantastic, but it's like a pretty cool, a really original horror movie.
Okay.
And so when I found out it was the same director, it like I said, it's kind of like, it's not the best horror movie. It was A24 was not where it was now. You know what I mean at the time, but so it makes sense that this one was like but it wasn't bad. It's worth watching, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that one, but I like the style of the movie. So watching this definitely makes me want to check that out. So I mean, I definitely went ahead and skipped to the end. But yeah, so like, okay, so we got this mom and her family. She has 3 kids. Her sister's like a tech.
Yeah, a guitar tech.
For a rock band, yeah. And she
finds out she's pregnant, so she runs to her sister for help.
Right. But what we find out is that her sister was going to her for help and she was ignoring it.
Yeah. Yeah, and because they're living in a condemned apartment building, her husband left. And the father of her kids. And they were having to find a place to live ASAP, and everything was just kind of, it seems like all at once, everything is falling apart for this family.
Right. That you were probably like salivating as you were learning these.
Hey, listen, if I'm being honest, I just want to see some families dying in films. I don't want them to necessarily I don't like seeing like the perils of capitalism and modern society tearing a family apart. That's too real for me. The blood and guts, I'm all for. I don't want to see somebody, getting worn down by the system. I face enough of that in my daily life.
Fine, they could die, but their lives don't need to be ruined. Fair enough. But their lives are definitely ruined in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think all the characters are really smart, but you just can't stop the force of the Deadites. It's just like, so like, that's what I love about Evil Dead. Like, no matter what, they're just kind of always going to get you, and you can't ever stop them. They always come back.
Yeah. And they, so yeah, this force, the kid, there's an earthquake, which essentially traps everyone in this condemned apartment building. And you rapidly, they're going to be fodder. All of the characters. It introduced like a bunch of characters into the movie right away that you're like, oh, these guys are gonna die.
Oh, the people in the apartment building who pretty much get killed like almost off screen. Like they're just kind of easily slaughtered by the mom.
Yeah, but that being said, for some reason there's like a likability and like original, like they feel true, like real fleshed out characters, even though you don't get a lot of information in them. You know what I mean? And also it makes you really fall in love with this mom and her artsy little family.
Yeah.
You got her daughter who's making freak toys with by cutting up plastic dolls and stuff like that.
Yeah, so dark.
Yeah. You get the son who's like a DJ,
Right.
And during the earthquake, it unearths a little vault because the apartment complex used to be a bank back in like the early 1900s. And it uncovers a vault, and that's where he finds the Necronomicon and the vinyl that included the chants of the evil words or whatever.
Yeah, I love how he finds it because it's almost like, and this is always an Evil Dead, like he's drawn to it. Like he's just kind of, like it's not like, it's you can almost like be like, oh, it's just a movie. Of course, out of everywhere over there, they find it. But no, he's kind of like drawn to it. And then like the room he finds it in, you see like all like these rosaries hanging. Like, like some fucked up curse shit is there. Like in real life, you'd be like, I'm not walking anywhere over there, like.
Yeah. I mean, crawling, as someone who grew up in California, crawling into a place, essentially a cave opened up by an earthquake, that is a no-go for anyone with sense. Even like a teenage adventurous Cody would not be that foolish,
Yeah, that's why I think I'll use the logic of, no, the Necronomicon is kind of making you go
summoning
to it.
You.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what happens because, that's the thing. Like, he brings the book, he brings the vinyls in. Like, when he opens the book, it like kind of bites him. Not bites him, but it has like teeth on the outer bind, and like it nicks his finger and he's bleeding, and that like activates the book to open up. And now he has the Necronomicon, like the pages are fucked up. Like the coolest thing about Necronomicon, when I first watched Evil Dead, I just love how they always explain like it's bound in human flesh and inked in blood, So like you can tell how fucked up it is. The imagery is really fucked up. Then the vinyl's
imagery is horrific.
Yeah. And it's almost, it's pretty much like, if you've seen the first Evil Dead, or the second one, when they get to the cabin, they find the tape recorder and they play it, and you hear the scientists talking about the same exact thing that this scientist is talking about on the vinyl. Like, we found the Necronomicon, I translated it, and then as the movie goes on and you hear more of the vinyl, like, shit went down.
Yeah.
You don't need to know the exact specifics, just the tone of the dude's voice, even in the first Evil Dead. It's part of that, like, holy shit, what is this unholy terror that's fucking with us that I love about Evil Dead?
Yeah, that bong hit made me feel like I just got possessed by a Deadite. Oh, God, it blew
Ladies and gentlemen, off. Deadite Cody, back on the show. Yeah, I was using your coughing as a opportunity to talk about the Necronomicon, and I would read the Necronomicon if I found it. Like, the curiosity would overtake me, I think.
Oh yeah, you hand me a book made of human flesh, and I'm gonna read that thing.
Yeah. Hey, it's always possible as long as you have a chainsaw around. It's okay.
Dude, the mom who gets possessed. Stellar.
Killed it.
She was unbelievable. So fucked up. Such a great mixture of horror and comedy.
Yep.
Dude, there's one line in particular where she's like, has her back to everybody, and everybody's like, the little girl's like, or the 17-year-old daughter is like, Mom, are you okay? And she's like, Mommy's free now.
Yeah.
And then they're like, free, and that, which is a terrifying line.
Yeah.
And then they're like, free from what? And then she turns and goes, you titty sucking maggots. Yeah! Dude, the entire theater erupted into laughter.
Yeah, that was a hilarious line.
Yeah.
That's like new sentence immediately. Never heard those words together. No, so yeah, the mom, Alyssa Sutherland, she was great. And also, like, she has really, like, high defined cheekbones. So she kind of has that, like, skeletal feel.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's, like, a pretty woman, but, like, once she becomes, like, the Deadite mom, like, it works really well. Like, the way they did her very practical makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a little CGI.
Yeah.
But it's not, I would like compare this more to like using a lot more practical effects than straight up CGI,
Yeah. And also just like her body movement, the way she turns her head, and like that's, I think, not like, you can't just get anybody to do that. Like the way you know what I'm saying? Like, she sells it.
It was terrifying. The part where she's like, jumps out of the tub and is just screaming, like this movie, it doesn't, it starts 5-minute short, Evil Dead short. Mm-hmm. Then there's like a lot of family building, like character building, fleshing out these characters, showing, setting up, but then it gets into the thick of it quick.
Yeah.
And shit goes down. First, so first she dies. She just throws up horrifically, like in an Evil Dead. Oh,
So
and then
gross.
this movie is not for the faint of stomach.
No, definitely not. Tons of blood.
Yeah, honestly, one of the bloodiest movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Literally, it's so violent and fucked up that it makes me cringe at times.
Oh, wow. Like, there was so much blood, like the elevator scene where it fills up with blood, which then becomes, like, as you're watching it, I'm like, I'm kind of reminded of The Shining already, and then it just is kind of like, a direct homage to The Shining, which was awesome.
Yeah. So good. There's so much really cool. Like, it's just in my opinion, one of the best horror movies I've seen recently.
Nice.
Probably in a while.
Well, we have seen some good ones recently. I'm not going to lie.
I agree. And I think this is better. I'd put this above Barbarian for me. I'd put this above, I can't think of many horror movies that like hit me like this one. This one is like a punch to the gut of horror and violence and chaos and madness, and I loved it.
I'm gonna wait until we're done talking about the movie to say what I liked better than it, because you're gonna be like, what? You're just
I'm excited.
You're gonna be mad when I say what I like better than this. But I'm not being negative about this movie, right? I just think that Evil Dead is just like, we have Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, the Evil Dead 2013. We even have Ash versus the Evil Dead. And
which I haven't watched a ton of, but it's great.
It's great. I only watched the first season, but it's great. And what I'll say there is that I think I probably liked, aside from the 2013 one, which I need to rewatch it. I watched it once. I know a lot of people were hype about it, but I don't think I was ready for like how much of a horror it was going to be. So I just didn't know what to expect. But that being said, still, I think I like all the original movies more than this, but not to say that this is bad. Like, so if I had to rank them, it would be low, but I think it would be an unfair low. Like if we were ranking like Star Wars, for instance, just because the third or fourth Star Wars, you know what I mean? Like it's still great movies.
I see. If we're ranking, including the 2013 and the show, if we're ranking Evil Dead properties, for me, this is like going to be 2 or 3 probably.
Nice. Okay. So then what's your favorite in the Evil Dead franchise?
Number 1.
Right? Yeah, same here. I know people love 2, but I like 1 a lot more.
I like 1 more. 1's more fucked up. 2 takes a turn into the camp that I appreciate and I love about the franchise. But so I'm going to go, if I were to rank it, honestly, I would go 1. Rise.
Ooh.
2, 3.
Interesting. Okay.
Or maybe even 3, 2. Nah, 2, 3.
Interesting. Okay.
I love, that was actually, Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness was the first Evil Dead I ever watched.
Oh, okay. And you know what? It is the kind of movie, like, it doesn't matter if you saw Army of Darkness before the other ones, you know? And 2 is just a remake / sequel of the first one. So, like...
Yeah, it's great, but it's way campier. The first feels like a horror movie from the 80s.
Yeah, that's why... Yeah, exactly. So you watch it for different reasons, I would say, you know? You want a great horror comedy? Evil Dead 2 is the top of the list. Great horror? Evil Dead's at the top of my list, for sure. Yeah. This is definitely, like... While there is comedy, it's not as direct, and it's in moments. Don't go into this movie expecting Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness, at all.
No, not in the slightest.
Yeah, it's also like a sick, twisted funny at times too. Just the way the mom, like the way she could switch, and Deadites do this all the time, but the way they switch between like, oh, please, I'm your mom, please, or like, kill me, please, and then like, I have her, like, and
she kills it.
She kills it. That's hard to pull off acting wise, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because it's so fast and like it's so, you feel the shift. The shift is there.
Yeah, like when she's talking the daughter into unlocking, the youngest daughter into unlocking the door.
I was thinking of that scene exactly.
Yeah, dude, that scene was horrific. Horrific, because you're like, oh, this poor little girl just wants to believe, you know? Also, like, I was kind of... Before things really went south, I kind of thought all 3 of the kids were gonna make it.
Yeah, right. Especially when the mom says, do you remember that one of her last human lines to the sisters, like, make sure they survive or make sure nothing happens.
Yeah, protect my babies.
Yeah, exactly. Protect my babies.
And or don't let them get my babies was the exact line.
Yes,
maybe.
there you go. That is the exact line. Yep. But they get them babies, unfortunately, except for the youngest. They all get got.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So there's a scene with a whole hallway peephole where she realizes, oh, like she hears the cat in the ventilation system. She's like in the vents. She's like, oh, if I go, and that's how she gets into the apartment. But I'm thinking right before that happens, I'm like, oh, she's gonna possess the cat, which we haven't seen. I thought that would have been really cool if she possessed the cat.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like a Deadite cat just fucking with them. And then it would have added some camp to it. You know, imagine a cat chasing them around. But then, I don't know. That's a completely different. That's Anthony's Evil Dead. But
yeah, that would have been a different tone. But that could have, I definitely would like to see something like that, especially if the tone was lighter.
Right. Yeah. Or even still fucked up and you have a cat fucking with people, you know?
Yeah, I think though, because this movie kept the terror on. Yeah. I took my 13-year-old son to see it.
Oh, you saw Wakeo, all right. What did he think?
He loved it. He was like, that was the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Nice.
Yeah, yes. He loved it. He was terrified. At one point in time, at the beginning, I think in the middle, it gets so over the top that you're just kind of like makes you feel comfortable in how hopeless it gets. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, this isn't gonna go well. Like in the first few minutes while the mom is in the process of turning and the violence is like not quite as so fatal and it's a lot scarier because the stakes feel a lot higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think around the point when the daughter gets possessed from where the mom tattooed her face.
Yes. Oh shit, yeah.
Once that happens, you kind of just like lose hope for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, once you see how deep the cut on her cheek is, you're like, damn, it's over for her. And it was.
Well, yeah. Yeah, dude, that scene when she's up on the counter chewing on the wine glass.
Oh, that was tough to watch.
Yeah. And then, dude, the violence in this there's a lot of stuff that made me physically, the part where she cheese grates the leg.
Oh my God.
I
could feel that even though it's never happened to you. You could like feel it.
Dude, I didn't even realize I did this. I squeezed my son's arm so hard that it hurt him a little bit during the cheese grater part. But dude, I think that's might be one of the reasons why it was so special to me. It was my son's first real terrifying horror movie. I've taken him to see Scream 6. I took him to see Smile. Both were actually really good horror movies, but this was like a whole nother level. This was terrifying.
Yeah, it really was. And also, I'm still thinking now. It's almost like I forgot these like fucked up scenes because my brain's like, no, forget it. Don't think about it. Like when she's chewing the glass and you see the glass go down her throat,
and you see the shards. Like,
oh my God! I was eating popcorn. I'm like, nope. I can't eat food right now,
dude. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. And
the way she stabs her brother a bunch of times.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. In the kitchen fight.
Yeah, the kitchen fight was.
You'd think the brother might survive that one, but as soon, it's just always so hopeless. Like the knife goes right into the brother's arm and you're done.
Yeah, and then he cooks her alive.
Yes. Fuck.
Well, not alive. She's dead at that point. She's a deadite, but yeah, cooks her using the gas stove. Oh, it was just fantastic.
Yep. And the little girl, the littlest sister, has to watch all of this happen, like underneath a couch. Like she's helpless and she's just like
alone.
That's traumatized. Yeah, like if there was a sequel to this, like that little girl grown up and is like the new Ash, you know what I mean? That would be cool.
For sure. For sure. And I also loved the final monster. It was super campy, so fucked up. Like, how messed up is it to see your sister and your niece and nephew, or you're like in some kind of weird flesh blob?
Yeah. Did you see the Nicolas Cage movie Color Out of Space?
Yes.
It reminded me of that. Exactly. Because that has a very similar ending. If you
Yeah.
remember, like it's kind of
Mhm.
like a Lovecraftian monster, the way it's like fused
Yeah.
together, Cronenberg-esque, like the
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Dude, I loved your impression of
because it's just like a weird like blob, and the way it moves is kind of like a bug almost, like
Yeah.
and it's hard to
Yeah.
kill. Like they're in that wood chipper, and oh man, that's a good scene too. Just like the way it's like getting sucked in and it will refuse. Like you see
Yeah.
each daughter getting like, and the mom.
Also,
is just
the
like,
funniest part about that is that there's a wood chipper in this garage in LA.
yeah, that's Chekov's wood chipper right there. That's all it is, you know. Like it's just put there for that reason. Because how else would they have won? If that wood chipper was there, it's taking over LA. End of story.
Yeah.
Like it was gonna absorb both of them, and then what though? Like I don't know. Like the Deadites always are just like keep possessing more people, and that's it. They just keep possessing. You know, they never
Yeah.
really have an end game.
Yeah. And then the movie ends with the girl from the beginning leaving her
Yes.
apartment complex. She was like, "Oh, I was conked out on cough medicine or whatever."
Yeah, the whole time you learned she was in this apartment and had no idea any of this was
Yeah,
happening.
but she was just on a different floor, I'm sure. Where
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh, right, because they couldn't. That's another thing. You think, why don't they just try to leave? Every time they try to leave the apartment, something stops them. Just like in Evil Dead, where they can't leave past the cabin, like in the woods. Like
Yeah.
the bridge is suddenly destroyed. Here, the steps are destroyed, or the elevator won't close. Like it just won't work.
Yeah. Yeah, the garage door won't open.
The garage door won't open too. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's always the Evil Dead thing. Like you try to escape, but everything is stopping you from doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, almost like the whatever environment, which is another reason why I loved this. Setting this in a dilapidated LA apartment complex was such a spectacular setting for a new Evil Dead movie.
Made it way different.
Yeah.
No more cabins. And if you wanted the cabin, you got a little bit of that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, we kind of forgot when the mom actually gets possessed in the elevator. That was a cool scene too.
Yeah, I honestly thought I was worried for a second that I thought it was going to go tree scene from.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought.
I was like, oh God, no. But thankfully it didn't.
Yeah.
I like that the movie was like, we can be fucked up and cruel without going that route.
Yeah, that's like the one thing about Evil Dead 1 that like when I first watched it, I loved it, but I'm like, holy shit, this is the most fucked up scene I've ever seen in a horror movie, the tree scene. And
Yeah.
I always wanted to show other people. And like, you know, it was definitely like the summer after high school, hanging out with all our friends. I'm like, we got to watch Evil Dead. But like, I have to like give you like this trigger warning.
Disclaimer, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't want you guys to think I'm like, because you know, like when you're younger and you're hanging out with friends, if like you show them a movie and it has like the one thing, or it's just like something in it where it's just like, oh, that's weird. Why are you showing us this shit? It's just like, it's just that one thing. I didn't make the movie. The movie's great. Everyone agrees. They're just like, you know, so like they still loved Evil Dead, but everyone agrees that scene is just like, what the fuck, Sam Raimi?
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Super fucked. So I'm guessing KO hasn't seen the original Evil Deads. Okay.
No, I've not showed him any of them.
Gotcha.
This was his first experience, which also this works. If this is your first Evil Dead movie, that's fine. And I almost encourage it because it'll completely change the way you view all of the others.
And KO definitely got Evil Dead pilled now. Like he'll definitely, I'm sure he'll ask you like about the other ones.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Evil Dead is such a good franchise, and this is a great addition to it.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to touch base on.
Oh yeah.
Just the scene that we briefly like glazed, but the peephole scene. So at some point in this whole thing, they lock the mom out of the apartment while she's fighting with the neighbors. And she's ripping off the face of.
Oh shit! Yeah.
She's chewing on the face of like the young adult neighbor, and that rips out his eye, spits it into his brother's mouth, or his totally like kid's mouth, or whoever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That kid dies, and then you get this incredible shot through where they're watching through the peephole of the mom just like destroy all these neighbors. Like the dude with the shotgun, you were like, oh, he's gonna put up a fight. No, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. It's almost like the Daredevil hallway scene, but this mom is fucking people up.
Yeah, and dude, the way that kid, the youngest of the Latino family, he's running down the hall. You just see him sprint away, and you see the mom like slowly walk after him, and then you just hear some screaming and a thump, and then he just flies back across the hallway into the wall. Dude, it was brutal.
Yeah, and it's just like. Almost again, like she really had no reason to kill any of those people. It's just to like because she didn't possess them. You think, no. It's just like the Deadites didn't even possess those people. It was just the mom and the daughters. It's interesting. Like we were saying earlier, the Deadites just like to cruelly fuck with people, and that was just like to get them to come out.
Yeah, yeah, fucked. And so I just want to say before I give my PZ score, I just want to say this movie, the cinematography, the music, the score, the acting, all of it, for me, it was the best horror movie I've seen in a while. I'm giving it 6, no question.
Nice. Yeah, talking about it definitely makes me appreciate it a bit more. You know what I mean? Like some movies, like I liked it when I was watching it, but now that we talked about it, I'm definitely like, oh, hell yeah. I think I liked it way more than I realized. And I think
which makes sense because it was kind of a hard watch in the sense that it's brutal. It like when we got out of the theater, my son was like, I was like, how do you feel about it? He was like, I don't know how to feel about it. And I think that means I love it. And I was like, oh, I'm doing all right with this kid.
You just got 1 million dad points. No, that's actually a great point. Like I think, and just in general, the podcast gives us the opportunity to kind of analyze all these movies a few days later or what have you after we've watched them. So it's not just like, what do you think? I don't know. Like, it's just like we get to think about it. And yeah, I think it's so kind of fucked up and traumatizing that like my brain took a little while to process it. And I like it so much more after I did that. So KO's right about that. Fuck. Like, I don't know. Like, at the same time, like when I watched Terrifier 2, like I have to bring that up because I really like Terrifier 2. It's very, it's not about possession, but like people are dying. It's not as like, this has a layer of deepness that Terrifier definitely isn't trying to have, I would say.
I was actually, what's crazy is the only horror movie in the past, I'd say like 2-3 years that I would put as far as like, because when I go into horror, I kind of like, I want to feel weird. I want to feel uncomfortable. I want like being spooky or scary isn't necessarily enough. I want to feel things along with that.
Yeah.
That's why like I'm not crazy. Like I don't mind a jump scare, but if that's like the entire movie, I'm not into it. But Terrifier 2 is honestly the only movie that comes close, like horror-wise, for me in the past couple years. And I think last year was a fantastic year for horror.
It was.
It just wasn't. Those two were brutal and terrifying and kind of like a step above everything else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Like, I don't think this was... Like, I really enjoyed Megan, but I don't think Megan was better than this. I think that's another pretty good horror movie, but not necessarily... Horror comedy, yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure. I liked Megan, too. Yeah. I kind of wanted Megan to be more brutal, honestly.
Yes.
Like, that's what I felt like was lacking, was like, it should have just like... If this thing was like showing the kill, because a lot of the kills were just like her swinging down on somebody or something, you know what I mean?
I think was Megan PG-13 and was this R? Maybe that's the difference. Okay.
And Megan, but they ended up doing an unrated Megan.
Oh, okay. I got to maybe check that one out.
I think it's on, I haven't watched it, but it's on, I think it's on Peacock or Paramount Plus.
Oh, no. Oh, probably Peacock then. Yeah, I think I've seen that advertised actually. Okay. And then I really did not like it. I really want you to see it, man. I know Jake definitely won't watch it, but I feel like Jake might even like it. Skinamarink.
Jake likes to watch the snobby stuff and be like,
yeah, exactly. So like, but like this is like, I don't know. I think either it's a step too snobbish or a step too stupid. Like Skinamarink is just not a straightforward movie. Like it's all these like very weird shots, almost like Paranormal Activity, but a bit more artistic. But sometimes you're just like the corner of the ceiling. And it's just many of those shots and like kids mumbling. There's not dialogue really. Like I
have been meaning to watch it. Actually,
you need to watch it because I really just want it. I can't. It's a movie where it's just like I don't know how to process it because I get something's happening, but I didn't like it. And a lot of people fucking love that movie, and they were trying to like be like this is the best horror movie ever made. Like I don't know. Evil Dead Rise though, I think way better than Skinamarink. So like you're saying, yes, Terrifier 2 is the only one I think that comes close. I can't give this movie a 6. I'll give it a 5.5. I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Hey, I'm not upset with that. I think like my love for the franchise and just like everything. I feel like this was while being its own thing, also still very loyal to the Evil Dead name.
Exactly. It had all the elements there, like we said. Like even again at the end, it had the chainsaw. Like it felt like at the very end, like like this is putting the stamp on it that yes, all this other crazy shit is happening. It's still an Evil Dead movie at the end of the day. And because the aunt and the little girl walk out, they at least survive. We don't know what's happening to them after. Who the fuck knows?
Hopefully nothing. Hopefully
hopefully nothing. Yeah. But like, how do you explain that to the cops and everything? Like her family's now missing. Like
blood soaked.
Soaked. Yeah.
Their guts are all over the apartment complex.
Yeah, like that little girl is now like Dexter. Like what is like
well, I think it's like kind of one of those things where you can't really just like imagine a life beyond that for like you just can't. It's such a because I mean while it's terrifying for sure. It's not at all set within like a real world. You know what I mean? Scenario where you have to think about police procedurals and you know what I mean? Like,
you're right. Cause you're not thinking that at the end of Evil Dead 1 or 2. Cause anyway, you see Ash go to medieval times, but like in Evil Dead 2, like you see that Ash, or rather maybe even Army of Darkness, they always kind of changed the beginnings a little bit. Like he was working in a supermarket after all this shit happened. That's like his life afterwards. Like it's just the most boring life ever. So I think that's funny that we even are talking about it because you're like, that's what could happen to these characters. It doesn't matter. They're working at a supermarket. That's where they are.
Yeah.
After this movie.
For sure.
Cool. Yeah, I definitely bumped my score up by talking about it, by the way. I
think what were you originally going to get?
Probably a 5.
Nice.
5.5.
I accept that. And I'm glad I helped sway you.
Oh, for sure. You did. You did, man. You did.
As soon as, dude, I watched that movie, and if I'm being honest, like, not only did I feel good in the sense that, like, I knew it was, like, a really, a core moment for me and my boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I could tell that was, like, one of the scariest movies he's ever seen, and that's like an accomplishment as someone like he's a fan of horror. I definitely exposed it to him at slightly too young, and for a long time he wasn't interested in digesting it even because of my mistake as a father. But this felt right. And,
no,
you know
we
what
all
I mean?
watched horror movies when we were young. Even my nieces and nephews are watching like fucking It and all that shit.
Yeah.
And they're like 5 years old. So I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but I walked out of that theater being like, it felt good to me. I was like, that movie was incredible. It was everything I want in a horror movie.
Yeah. I just think that's so cool. Like 10 years from now, KO's going to be hanging with his buds, having a beer. He's going to be like, dudes, have you seen Evil Dead Rise?
That's a classic.
Yeah,
they're going to be calling it a classic.
Yeah. And that's cool though, because we should, I think we're kind of like in a really cool age for horror movies where like, yeah, the MCU is doing their thing and superhero movies took over, but I feel like we're on the downtrend and I feel like people want different movies. They want more horror. We always love horror, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like we're in a horror renaissance because you're finally seeing, because there for a while, we got horror took like this really awful turn into like torture porn in the late 2000s.
And I hated that. Hostel, fuck that shit. I can't watch that movie.
And I feel like horror got like real, Saw got like big budget movies kind of got really bad. But now we're seeing big budget horror come back. Like Smile, not a perfect horror movie, but it was really good. Scream was really good.
I need to see Scream. I'm not interested in Smile so much, but Scream sounds cool.
Dude, Smile was surprising. I kind of went into it. I just took KO because I thought he could watch it, and he's like starting to get really into horror stuff now. I'm excited because like the next time I go in, I told him we're gonna watch The Thing together.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, and that's a completely digestible.
Dude, have we done the episode?
No, we haven't. We should do The Thing. I'm down.
It's definitely. Do you think Jake would love it? Probably.
I feel like he's seen it. I hope he's seen it.
If he hasn't,
I know. I'd be surprised. Like The Thing, yeah. Like you can't be a snob about The Thing. Like The Thing is The Thing. Like,
yeah.
Hell yeah. But if he doesn't want to, we'll just do another one of these.
Half-baked, half-beezy.
Yeah. We'll have a little, we're carving out a little horror section of Comics and Chronic. We've done Barbarian. What, have we done any other horror movies?
For sure.
Like, to go off of also just something we just said, like one of the best MCU movies recently was Multiverse of Madness, which has a lot, it's not like a straight up horror, but it has a lot of horror elements, And
that's why I liked it, is because you could feel Sam Raimi in it. You could feel you could feel the horror in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was the closest you'll get to Doctor Strange versus the Army of Darkness. You know what I mean? Like it was so.
Ooh. Oh, dude! Imagine that movie though. Doctor Strange versus the Army. Imagine that comic. Yo, that would actually be really cool.
Yeah.
They have done like Marvel Zombies actually starts off kind of in an Evil Dead comic where Ash gets transported to the Marvel universe or some shit. So there's some. They might be able to do that, dude.
That would be awesome.
I'd be there. Disney, fuck everything else. Do that.
Do an animated, like, 5-part, each episode 30 minutes, Doctor Strange.
Well, I mean, I guess they are doing Marvel Zombies, the animated show, so we're getting
Are they doing it?
Yeah, they are. I totally forgot about that. I haven't heard anything, like, since it got announced.
I just saw the What If. I didn't realize they were doing...
I think it's, like, an offshoot of that, so probably same animation, I'm assuming. Gotcha. And it has, like, a more mature rating, so they're going to be... Who knows what's going to go on in that show.
Nice.
It's for us edgelords out there.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for checking this out. I can't recommend Evil Dead more. Oh, Anthony, what horror movie, before we get off of here, what horror movie do you like more than this?
Oh, we said it. I think I like Terrifier 2 more than this.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Terrifier 2 is the only one for me that came close. I didn't realize that was, Yeah,
I don't know what we gave Barbarian. I don't know if I gave it like a 5.5 or something, but I would still like this more than that.
Yeah, I like this more than that. I think Barbarian was relatively close, but not, honestly, like, also not.
Yeah, I'd rather rewatch this than that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. This is a half-baked episode. When you hear half-baked episode, that means look out later in the week for another episode. We like to drop 2, a little short one, another one. Actually, this is a little like a full-length episode, which is pretty cool. So hope you guys liked Evil Deadites. Comicsandchronic.com is there for you to check out all the cool shit we have. We're doing cool shit.
Support us.
And go smoke weed.
We love you.
Peace out.
Yeah, smoke weed every day.
Hi, you're listening to Comics and Chronic, and I'm Jake FH.
I'm Cody Cannon.
And I'm Anthony Iannaccio.
And you can tune in every Thursday to hear new episodes of Comics and Chronic.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Comics and Chronic. That's Comics, the letter N, Chronic.
We'll see you guys next week.
Woo!
Peace.